Ryan Mercer had spent most of his life surrounded by people who admired his money before they ever bothered learning his favorite color, the music he listened to when he could not sleep, or the fact that he secretly loved old bookstores more than luxury yachts. By 36, he owned one of the biggest real estate development companies in the country, appeared on magazine covers, and attended charity galas, where strangers smiled too perfectly and laughed too loudly at every word he said. But beneath the tailored suits and billion-dollar deals was a man who had grown exhausted by fake affection. It started after his engagement ended. Vanessa had cried dramatically when he discovered she was secretly negotiating with tabloids for exclusive rights to their wedding coverage. She insisted she loved him, yet every argument somehow circled back to access, status, gifts, and visibility. The final blow came when Ryan overheard her mocking him to friends during a private dinner. "He's kind," she had whispered with a bored sigh, "but honestly, if he lost everything tomorrow, I wouldn't survive living like normal people." Those words stayed inside him long after the relationship collapsed. Months later, Ryan sat in the back seat of his black sedan, while rain slid across the windows like melted silver. His assistant Clara sat across from him, holding a tablet filled with profiles from elite matchmaking services. "They've screened these women carefully," Clara said. "Successful, educated, socially polished. You asked for blind dates without public exposure. This is the best agency in Manhattan." Ryan looked at the smiling photos and felt nothing. "They all know who I am?" he asked. "Of course, that's why they agreed." "Tart." He leaned back with a tired smile. "That's the problem." Tara frowned. "You want someone who doesn't know? I want someone who sees a human being before a net worth." 2 weeks later, Ryan walked through downtown Manhattan wearing stained clothes, old boots, and a gray hoodie torn near the shoulder. Makeup artists from a film studio had helped age his appearance. His expensive watch was gone. His beard had grown thick. Dirt lined his fingernails. No one looked twice at him except to avoid eye contact. For the first time in years, Ryan felt invisible. He stood near a coffee shop, watching people hurry past. Some wrinkled their noses, some stayed red with pity, others ignored him entirely. Then a woman stepped out of the cafe carrying 2 drinks. She wore a navy coat and sneakers instead of heels. Her curly dark hair was tied loosely behind her head, and she looked more tired than glamorous. She paused when she noticed him shivering in the wind. "You okay?" she asked gently. Ryan blinked. Most people avoided speaking to him during the experiment. "I'm fine," he muttered. "You don't look fine." She handed him one of the coffees. "It's hot chocolate actually. I hate coffee." Ryan hesitated before taking it. "Thank you. You should sit somewhere warm before it rains harder." Then she smiled and walked away. No performance, no cameras, no expectation, just kindness. Ryan watched her disappear into the crowd. That evening he called Clara. "I found someone." Clara nearly dropped the phone. "Already? She has no idea who I am, and she treated me like a person." The next afternoon Ryan returned to the same cafe hoping to see her again. Hours passed before she finally appeared carrying a laptop bag and balancing folders against her hip. She noticed him immediately. "You're still out here?" she asks. "Ed, guess so." She sat beside him without hesitation. "My name's Ava. Ryan. You hungry, Ryan?" He nodded slightly. Ava disappeared inside and returned with 2 sandwiches. "You don't have to keep helping me," he said. "Maybe I want to." They ate quietly while traffic roared nearby. "What happened to you?" she finally asked. Ryan stared at the street. "Bad decisions. Bad people. Lost my job. Family. No one close. Ava looked down. "Same." There was sadness in her voice. For the next week, she continued visiting him during lunch breaks. Sometimes, they talked about books, sometimes movies, sometimes nothing important at all. Ryan learned she worked as a pediatric nurse at a public hospital. Her shifts were exhausting. Her apartment was tiny. Her student loans were crushing. Yet she still found ways to help strangers. One rainy evening Ava arrived looking upset. "Tough day?" Ryan asked. "A little boy died today." Her voice cracked. Ryan's chest tightened. He was 7. He kept asking if he could go home tomorrow. She wiped her eyes angrily. "I hate that kid suffer." Without thinking, Ryan moved closer. "You made his last days better." Ava log. Head weakly. "You sound smarter than you look." He grinned. "Careful, I might actually have a college degree. Do you?" Maybe. For the first time in years, Ryan enjoyed conversations without hidden motives. But eventually the experiment became complicated, because he started falling in love. One night Clara confronted him inside his penthouse. "This has gone too far," she warned. "You can't keep lying to her." "I'm not lying about who I am. You're pretending to be homeless. I'm trying to know if someone cares before money changes everything." Clara crossed her arms. "And when she finds out?" Ryan stared out at the city lights. "That's what scares me." Days later Ava invited him to a shelter fundraiser hosted by the hospital. "You'd probably get free food," she joked. Ryan nearly laughed at the irony. "I don't think I belong there." "You belong anywhere people treat you with respect." The fundraiser took place in a modest community hall, decorated with handmade banners and paper lanterns. Ryan arrived wearing borrowed clothes that looked slightly cleaner than usual. Ava greeted him warmly. "You cleaned up." "I do my best." Several guests stared at Rhea uncomfortably. A wealthy donor whispered something cruel under his breath while passing by. Ava heard it. Her face hardened instantly. "Excuse me?" she snapped. The donor looked startled. "You don't speak about people like that. It was just a joke." "No, it was arrogance." Ryan watched silently as Ava defended him without embarrassment. Nobody had done that for him in years. Later that evening, an older volunteer approached Ryan privately. "You're lucky," the woman said softly. "With what?" "That girl has one of the purest hearts I've ever seen." Ryan looked across the room at Ava laughing with children. "I know." Weeks passed. Ryan secretly funded the hospital's pediatric wing through anonymous donations after learning about equipment shortages. Ava often complained about how wealthy people attended galas for attention while refusing to help quietly. "If I had money," she once said while sharing fries with Ryan in the park, "I'd want to actually change lives." Ryan smiled carefully. "What if rich people are scared others only love them for money? Then they should stop dating shallow people." He laughed. "Fair point." One evening Ava invited Ryan to her apartment because a snowstorm made the streets dangerous. The place was tiny but warm. Books covered every surface. Plants sat near the windows despite struggling to survive winter. Ryan felt strangely comfortable there. "You can sleep on the couch," Ava said. "Thank you." She handed him blankets. "You know," she said hesitantly, "you don't really act homeless." Ryan froze. "What do you mean? You read constantly. You know classical music. Your posture screams private school." He smirked nervously. "Maybe I'm secretly royalty. Maybe you're secretly weird. Definitely possible." That night Ryan barely slept. Guilt pressed against his chest heavier with every passing day. He wanted to tell her the truth, but he feared losing the only real connection he had experienced in years. A few days later, Ava convinced Ryan to attend a blind date event hosted by her friend Mia. "You need to meet people," Ava insisted. Ryan nearly choked laughing. "I'm pretty sure women aren't looking for homeless guys. You'd be surprised at the event." Ryan sat across from glamorous women who barely concealed their discomfort after seeing him. One scrolled through her phone the entire conversation. Another asked whether he had addiction problems before learning his last name. A third laughed awkwardly and left early. Ava watched the interactions with growing anger. "They're horrible," she muttered afterward. Ryan shrugged. "People judge what they see. That doesn't make it right." Then she paused. "What about me? What about you? You've never tried flirting with me." Ryan stared at her. Snow drifted softly around them beneath streetlights. "You deserve better than someone like me," he said quietly. Ava stepped closer. "Maybe I'd rather decide that myself." Before he could respond, she kissed him. The world seemed to stop. Ryan kissed her back gently, terrified and hopeful all at once. Their relationship changed after that night. Ava began spending more time with him, despite criticism from co-workers who questioned why she cared so deeply about a homeless man. "She's wasting her life," one nurse whispered. Ava overheard. "No," she replied coldly. "I'm spending time with someone kinder than most rich men I've met." Ryan's feelings deepened dangerously. So did his fear. Then everything unraveled. One afternoon Ava arrived at tea. Cafe looking pale. "What happened?" Ryan asked. She sat heavily beside him. The hospital board rejected funding requests again. Ryan clenched his jaw. "How much do they need?" "Too much." That night Ryan arranged a massive anonymous donation through his company. The next morning, the hospital exploded with excitement. Ava rushed to find Ryan. "You won't believe it," she said breathlessly. "Someone donated enough to save the pediatric expansion. That's amazing. They want to honor the donor publicly." But the donor refused. Ryan smiled softly. "Maybe they just wanted to help." Ava studied him strangely. "You look happy about this." "I like seeing you smile." A week later, disaster struck. Ryan was leaving a private business meeting when paparazzi photographed him entering his luxury car. The photos spread online within hours. Billionaire CEO Ryan Mercer spotted disguised downtown. Speculation exploded. Ava discovered the truth while sitting in the hospital cafeteria. At first, she thought the resemblance was coincidence. Then she saw his eyes, the same eyes she trusted, the same smile. Her hands trembled violently. That evening she stormed into the cafe searching for him. Ryan stood immediately when he saw her face. "Ava, who are you?" People nearby turned to stare. He swallowed hard. "I can explain. You're Ryan Mercer?" "Yes." "And this whole thing was what? A game?" "No. You let me believe you were homeless for months." Ryan's voice cracked. "I needed to know if someone could care about me without money involved." Ava looked devastated. "So you tested me. That wasn't my intention anymore." "But it was at first." He had no answer. Tears filled her eyes. "I defended you. I trusted you. I know. You watched people insult you while secretly being richer than everyone in the room. I wanted honesty, and you chose lies to find it." Her words cut deeper than any business failure ever had. Ryan stepped closer. "I fell in love with you." Ava shook her head painfully. "I don't even know who you are." Then she walked away. The following weeks were unbearable. Ava ignored his calls, ignored flowers, ignored letters. Ryan threw himself into work but felt emptier than before. One evening, Clara entered his office holding a folder. "You should stop chasing her." Ryan looked exhausted. "I can't. She may never forgive you. I wouldn't forgive me either." Meanwhile, Ava struggled with conflicting emotions. She hated the deception, but every memory still felt real. The kindness, the conversations, the way he listened when she spoke about patience. The anonymous donation. Eventually Mia forced Ava out for dinner. "You still love him," Mia said bluntly. "That's not the point." "Then what is?" "He manipulated me." "Did he ever treat you badly?" "No. Did he use his money to control you?" "No. Did he care about your work, your life, your feelings?" Ava stared silently at her drink. Mia sighed. "I'm not saying what he did was okay. I'm saying hurt people do stupid things when they're afraid." Ava hated how true that sounded. Days later, she found Ryan waiting outside the hospital in a simple coat. No disguise, no luxury car, just him. "I know you don't owe me anything," he said quietly, "but please let me explain properly." Ava crossed her arms. "You have 5 minutes." So Ryan told her everything. About Vanessa, about the loneliness, about realizing he had no idea whether anyone loved him genuinely. "And then I met you," he finished. "At first I kept pretending because I was scared. Then I kept pretending because I didn't want to lose you." Ava's anger softened slightly. "You should have trusted me. I know. You humiliated me without meaning to. I know. You broke my trust." His eyes filled with regret. "I know." Silence stretched between them. Finally Ava whispered, "Why me?" Ryan smiled sadly. "Because you offered kindness when you thought I had nothing to give you." For the first time since discovering the truth, Ava looked directly into his eyes without anger. "What happens now?" she asked. "That depends on whether you think I deserve another chance." Ava didn't answer immediately, but she didn't walk away either. Over the next month, they rebuilt things slowly, carefully. Ryan stopped hiding behind disguises. Ava demanded honesty, even when uncomfortable. He introduced her to his real-world boardrooms, penthouses, media attention, endless expectations. Ava hated most of it, especially the women who suddenly acted interested in Ryan around her. At one charity gala, a socialite laughed mockingly after learning how Ryan and Ava met. "So romantic," she sneered, pretending to be home. Alas, very cinematic. Ava calmly sipped champagne. "At least one of us fell in love with a person instead of a bank account." Ryan nearly choked, trying not to laugh. Later that night, he pulled her onto a balcony overlooking the city. "You're terrifying," he said affectionately. "You created this monster." He kissed her forehead gently. "I love you." Ava looked at him quietly. "I'm still angry sometimes. You should be, but I love you too." Ryan closed his eyes briefly as relief flooded through him. Months later the story leaked publicly. News outlets exploded with headlines about the billionaire who disguised himself as homeless to test women. Some people criticized him harshly. Others found the story romantic. Ryan ignored most of it, but during one televised interview a journalist asked Ava an uncomfortable question. "Do you ever worry he'll test you again?" The audience went silent. Ava smiled calmly. "Number. Because now he knows he never needed to." Ryan looked at her with quiet admiration. For the first time in years, he felt seen completely. Not as a billionaire, not as a public figure, not as a lonely man hiding beneath disguises, just Ryan A. And for Ava, that was enough. The following winter Ryan proposed during a quiet evening at the same coffee shop where they first met. He rented the entire place after hours, but kept the decorations simple, because he knew Ava hated flashy displays. Snow drifted beyond the windows while soft jazz played from hidden speakers. Ava entered wearing scrubs after a long hospital shift. "You said this was an emergency," she complained tiredly. "It is." Ryan stepped toward her slowly. "You changed my life." Ava's expression softened immediately. "You changed mine too, Ta." He knelt carefully. "I spent years surrounded by people who only saw numbers attached to my name. Then one exhausted nurse handed hot chocolate to a stranger everyone else ignored." Ava's eyes filled with tears. "You made me believe love could actually be honest." Ryan opened the ring box. "Will you marry me?" Ava laughed through tears. "You're lucky I'm forgiving. So that's a yes?" "Yes." The small cafe erupted into applause as hidden staff members and a few close friends emerged cheering. Ava covered her face in embarrassment. "You tricked me again." Ryan grinned. "Only a little." Their wedding month later became one of the most discussed social events of the year, because people expected extravagant luxury. Instead, the ceremony took place in a botanical garden filled with candles and live music from local students Ryan secretly funded through scholarships. Ava wore a simple, elegant gown. Ryan looked at her like she was the only person in existence. During vows, Ava made the guests laugh by saying, "I promise to love you whether you're wearing a designer suit or pretending to be homeless." Ryan smiled sheepishly, while the audience burst into laughter. After marriage, life remained complicated. Ava struggled adjusting to constant media attention. Photographers followed them. Blogs analyzed her outfits. Strangers criticized her online for marrying a billionaire. One night she collapsed onto their couch exhausted after reading hateful comments. "They think I trapped you for money," she muttered. Ryan took the phone gently from her hands. "They don't know you." "Still hurts." He sat beside her. "You loved me when you thought I owned nothing except dirty shoes and bad jokes." Ava leaned against him quietly. "I miss those days sometimes. The homelessness, the simplicity." Ryan understood exactly what she meant. So occasionally, they escaped. No assistance, no security nearby, no luxury. Just late-night walks through ordinary neighborhoods, where nobody recognized them. Those moments became sacred. One spring evening, they visited the same park where Ava first kissed him. Children ran across wet grass, while couples sat beneath trees. Ryan watched Ava laugh at a little girl chasing pigeons. "You know," he said softly, "I used to think money solved loneliness." Ava squeezed his hand. "And now? Now I think loneliness starts when nobody sees the real version of you." She smiled. "Then stop hiding from people." Her words stayed with him. Over the next year, Ryan transformed parts of his company culture. He increased employee healthcare benefits, expanded housing initiatives, opened scholarship programs for low-income students. Board members complained constantly. "You're becoming emotional," one executive warned. Ryan leaned back calmly. "No, I'm becoming human." Meanwhile, Ava continued working at the hospital despite pressure to quit. "You're a billionaire's wife now," co-workers joked. "And," she replied, "children still get sick." Her refusal to abandon her career made Ryan admire her even more. But life tested them again, when an investigative journalist named Derek Holloway began obsessively digging into Ryan's social experiment. Derek believed Ryan manipulated vulnerable women for entertainment. One evening, paparazzi ambushed Ava outside the hospital. "Did Ryan Mercer pay you before dating you? Were you part of the publicity stunt? Did he fake homelessness illegally?" Security pulled Ava away, but the damage lingered. That night she broke down crying in their bedroom. "I hate this," she whispered. Ryan held her tightly. "I'm sorry, Tor, for what? For dragging you into my world." Ava pulled back sharply. "No, don't do that." "Do what?" "Decide what's best for me." He blinked. "You're not a mistake I regret, Ryan." The next morning, Ryan shocked reporters by holding a press conference. Cameras flashed wildly as he stepped to the podium. "Yes," he admitted publicly. "I disguised myself because I became deeply distrustful after painful personal experiences." The room buzzed. "But I never intended to exploit anyone. I met a woman who reminded me kindness still exists, and I fell in love with her, honestly." A reporter shouted, "Do you regret the experiment?" Ryan paused. "I regret hurting someone I love, but I don't regret meeting her." Public opinion slowly softened after the interview, especially when several women from the blind date events anonymously admitted they had treated Ryan poorly because they assumed he was worthless. The story became less about deception and more about society's obsession with status. Universities even debated the ethics of Ryan's experiment in sociology lectures. Ava found that ridiculous. "We're becoming homework assignments," she groaned. Ryan laughed. "Imagine failing an exam because of our relationship years past." Ryan and Ava eventually welcomed twin daughters named Lily and Grace. Fatherhood changed Ryan completely. He cried the first time he held them. Ava stared at him weakly from the hospital bed. "You're crying harder than the babies. They're tiny," he whispered emotionally. Watching Ryan become a father healed parts of Ava she never realized remained wounded. He woke for midnight feedings despite exhausting workdays. He read bedtime stories dramatically using ridiculous voices. Cancelled meetings to attend school performances. Most importantly, he taught his daughters humility. When the girls turned 8, Ryan brought them downtown wearing ordinary clothes. They handed food and blankets to homeless shelters anonymously. "Why are we not telling people?" Grace asked. Ryan knelt beside her. "Because kindness isn't supposed to be a performance." Ava watched from nearby with proud eyes. One cold evening years later, Ryan returned alone to the corner where Ava first offered him hot chocolate. The city had changed. Buildings rose taller, traffic louder, but the memory remained vivid. Ava joined him moments later, carrying 2 cups. "Hot chocolate?" she asked playfully. He laughed softly. "You remembered. I remember everything." They stood together watching strangers rush past exactly like before. Ryan looked at her quietly. "Do you ever wish we'd met differently?" Ava considered the question. "Sometimes." His face fell slightly. Then she smiled. "But if we had, maybe I would have seen your money first too." Ryan wrapped an arm around her. And I'm glad I saw your heart instead."